My favorite example of this, however, is this one. I don't know if I'll get to do both of them, but I'll do at least one of them. And this is in Surah Nahl, Surah number 16, one of the most profound surahs of imagery I've ever come across. And this is ayahs number 64 to 69. I'm going to read these off to you in translation without showing you the progression first, and then we'll talk about how they progress. 64 to 69 of Surah Nahl. Nahl is 16. Okay. وَمَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابِ We did not send the book down onto you إِلَّا لِتُبَيِّنَ لَهُمْ الَّذِي اخْتَلَفُوا فِيهِ except that you should clarify for them the things that they disagree about. وَهُدًى and as a guidance, وَرَحْمَةً and as a mercy, لِقَوْمٍ يُؤْمِنُونَ for a group of people that wish to believe. وَاللَّهُ أَنزَلَ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً and Allah, He sent down water from the sky. فَأَحْيَا بِهِ الْأَرْضَ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهَا and by means of the water, He brought life to the earth after it had died, after its death. إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَةً لِقَوْمٍ يَسْمَعُونَ certainly there is a sign in that for people that are willing to listen, that are trying to listen. وَإِنَّ لَكُمْ فِي الْأَنْعَامِ لَعِبْرَةً and in cattle, there's yet another great, profound lesson for you. In what is there a lesson for you? In cattle. نَسْقِيكُم مِّمَّا فِي بُطُونِهِ we give you drink from what is found in its belly. مِّن بَيْنِ فَرْثٍ وَدَمٍ from between feces and blood. لَبَنًا خَالِصًا سَائِغًا لِلشَّارِبِينَ pure milk that replenishes, rejuvenates those who drink. وَمِن ثَمَرَاتِ النَّخِيلِ and from the fruits that come from palm trees, وَالْأَعْنَابِ and from grapes, تَتَّخِذُونَ مِنْهُ سَكَرًا وَرِزْقًا حَسَنًا you use it to produce wine and good sustenance too. He separates them. You can do two things with grapes and with dates. You can make wine out of them, or you can make good stuff from them too. Because sakar would not be a good thing. But he says you can make it. إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَةً لِقَوْمٍ يَعْقِلُونَ in all of that, there's certainly a sign for a group of people that are trying to understand. وَأَوْحَى رَبُّكَ إِلَى النَّحْلِ and your master revealed to the bee. أَنِ اتَّخِذِي مِنَ الْجِبَالِ بُيُوتًا that you should take from the mountains, take up homes in the mountains. وَمِنَ الشَّجَرِ and take up homes in the trees. وَمِمَّا يَعْرِشُونَ and from whatever they build, meaning sometimes honeybees build a hive even in the columns of a palace. What people build. So not only in nature, in even artificial places, they might end up building something. ثُمَّ كُلِي مِنَ الثَّمَرَاتِ then eat from all of the fruits. فَاسْلُكِي سُبَلَ رَبِّكِ then pursue the pathways identified by your master. ذُلُلًا with humility. يَخْرُجُ مِن بُطُونِهَا شَرَابٌ مُخْتَلِفٌ أَلْوَانُهُ what comes from its bellies, meaning the bellies of the bees, is a drink that is of different colors. He's referring to what drink? He's referring to honey. فِيهِ شِفَاءٌ لِلنَّاسِ in which there is healing for people. إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَةً لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ in all of that, there certainly is a miraculous sign for people that think deeply. Okay, so this was the passage that you may have thought of some parallels. Maybe you can guess what connects these ayat. What is it? Drinks. Water from the sky, milk, wine, juices, honey, isn't it? But there's something more going on here. I deliberately included ayah number 64 as the first ayah of the progressive passage, which was not about drinks at all. What is it about? It's about revelation coming down so you could describe revelation to people. And revelation will serve as guidance, and revelation will serve as mercy for people that seek to believe. Everything else that follows is imagery that will further your understanding of revelation itself. The imagery are lessons by which we will learn something about the process of revelation and the effect that it has. Allah says He sent water from the sky and it gave life to the earth. Just like revelation comes from the sky and gives life to the hearts. And usually when water comes from the sky and gives life to the earth, is that a sign for your ears or is that a sign for your eyes? That's a sign for your eyes. Look at the end of the ayah. إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَةً لِقَوْمٍ يَسْمَعُونَ in it, there's a sign for people that are trying to listen. Wait, which of the signs is for listening? Revelation or water? So it's talking about revelation. It's making you think, look at water, but listen carefully. Am I talking really about water or am I using water as a metaphor? Subhanahu wa ta'ala. To describe what revelation does. what life it brings. And he says, speaking of drinks that replenish you, وَإِنَّ لَكُمْ فِي الْأَنْعَامِ لَعِبْرَةً. Yet another parable is you can take a good look at cattle, because drink doesn't just come from the sky. There are other drinks you enjoy, like milk. Where does it come from? From the belly of an animal, in between what two things did he specifically say? Blood and feces. Okay. The earth can be brought to life. Something good comes from it. Now keep that imagery in mind, something good and something pure coming. The Sahaba were in a good environment or in a bad environment? They were in one of the worst environments in the world. They were surrounded with what you can call impurity and impurity, blood and feces. But when Allah inspires, then purity can even come from within the most impure of environments. The most impure of environments will produce that which will replenish you and give you. The Quran is also described as though it came from the command of Allah in the most corrupt of environments, and it to this day replenishes people. خَالِصًا سَائِغًا لِلشَّارِبِينَ. Yet another parable for revelation is that even in the worst of environments, revelation can come as pure and not be corrupted. And it will replenish those even if they're in a bad environment. You with me so far? Okay. So now we're not just saying revelation is beneficial for, yes, it gives the dead earth life, but even in a bad environment, it can reform the environment. He takes the next step. He says, now ponder over the fruits that come from palm trees and grapes. But when he talked about them, he didn't just say good stuff comes from it. What did he say? Bad stuff comes from it? And sakaran? And he doesn't say, Allah takes it out. He says, تَتَّخِذُونَ مِنْهُ sakaran. You bring out from it wine, and you bring out good rizq also. One parable was a bad environment and goods coming out of it. Yes? The opposite scene. There's good originally. What's good originally? A palm tree is good. Grapes are good. But what's coming out of it? Bad. Understand that the people that were given revelation before us, the Israelites, they were given a lot of good. Lots of prophets, Torah, everything about what they had was good. They took that pure good, and did they use it correctly or incorrectly? They could have used it as rizqan hasanan, but they turned it into sakaran instead. It's no accident that this Surah Nahl at the very end is going to criticize the Israelites, even though it's a Makki surah. Okay? You can misuse revelation too. You can misuse the pure rizq that Allah gives you also. In the worst of environments, purity can be retained. And in the best of environments, your corruption can make it corrupt too. تَتَّخِذُونَ مِنْهُ سَكَرًا وَرِزْقًا حَسَنًا. And this is for those who really think about it. Every drink has some reference to what happens with revelation so far, yeah? وَأَوْحَى رَبُّكَ إِلَى النَّحْلِ. Allah revealed to the bee. And the bee's job is to take from different places and then take pathways that Allah commanded it to, just like angels take the pathways Allah command them to deliver revelation. And Allah inspired them to bring that revelation. And when they bring that revelation, what is the benefit of this revelation? Does revelation have different textures, by the way? Do some ayat bring mercy? Do some bring fear? Do some bring counsel? Do some bring knowledge? Do some bring wisdom? Sharabun mukhtalifun alwanuhu. Do all the surahs have the same color, the same texture, the same flavor? Do they all have their own sweetness, unique signatures? And so he says, Fihi shifa'ul linnas. In it, meaning in honey, there is healing for people. The only other time shifa is used in the Quran, قَدْ جَاءَتْكُمْ مَوْعِظَةٌ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ وَشِفَاءٌ لِمَا فِي الصُّدُورِ. Quran is shifa, honey is shifa, because the honey is a parable for the Quran and its sweetness and its divine origin. And the way that the honey is extracted, nobody can extract it except by the command of Allah. Its sources and the way it's turned into revelation, like Allah took literally what is right in front of us. History is in front of us, the events are in front of us, and Allah will make reference to events that happened before the Prophet's eyes, before the people's eyes. Allah will make reference to things that happened in the time of Fir'aun. And historians will talk about it, others will talk about it. It's the same fruit, but when the honeybee extracts from it and by Allah's command produces honey, it's a different thing altogether. And so it's the same events that a historian sees, that a human being sees, but when Allah comments on that event, then its sweetness and its guidance is something else, it's healing for people. إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَةً لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. You can go to the same flower that the honeybee goes to, you can go to the same fruit that the honeybee goes to, and you won't get honey out of it. That can only happen when Allah extracts from it by Allah's command and compiles it. And so, إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَةً لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. So, the physical imagery in the Quran and sometimes the way it progresses has some very profound spiritual lessons associated with it. Okay, since you guys are doing okay, can I do another one, quick one, before I break? Okay. This is also Surah Nahl because I'm obsessed with Surah Nahl. It's really sweet. This is a good one. Yeah. Yeah. Hold on. I'm tickled myself. Hold on. Let me regain my composure.